What's up, Ramblers? Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button for this daily podcast to never miss an episode. And follow us on YouTube at Assistance HQ for all the latest content and behind the scenes on the Ramblings. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. What's up, Ramblers? Welcome back to today's episode. You're listening to the Ramblings. And I've really wanted to give it some consideration on what to call you guys. Because I say, hey, what's up, podcast? Hey, what's up, Ramblers? And I just feel like everybody has like a saying for the people that listen to them or are like considered a fan base, if you will. And I thought about Ramblers because if you listen to me, chances are you probably talk too much too, or you just talk a lot in general. So you probably ramble, take too long to get to your point, whatever it is. I've thought about it, and I really do like the word ramblers, but if you guys are open to using any other term, let me know. Use it, hashtag let's ramble. I know. If you are listening to this podcast and you want to keep up on live updates or just tweet about the podcast or share anything on social media about the podcast, use the hashtag let's ramble, because that's going to be my hashtag. I'm going to start promoting it, using it more, and that's because I just really kind of would like it, if you guys engaged with me, if I was able to hear what you guys would like me to talk about, if you had some questions or anything like that. So if you have any questions or you just want to hear me talk about a particular topic, send that in either via email or online. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a voice message, shoot me a tweet, tag it, use the hashtag let's ramble, and I'm going to see it because I'm following the hashtags on all my social media since I made it. So use the hashtag let's ramble. Speaking of Let's Ramble, we just finished a podcast, guys. So we are on a double header night. So if you're listening to this podcast, it's coming off the previous podcast. I don't know when they're going to air, so I can't tell you, which podcast it was airing after. However, I can let you know that tonight is another double header night. We just finished recording a different podcast, and now we're recording another one. And these are the nights I love. It's 9:30. I should technically be getting to sleep. My goal is to be asleep by 9:30. However, I've been getting up a little bit after 5:45, 6 o'clock kind of thing, more or less like 8 o'clock. 7:45 is when I've been getting up. So that accounts for me going to sleep a little bit past this because of time-wise, and I'm working all day. So it's really about going back and forth. I love doing doubleheader nights because I've gotten so comfortable recording and doing my podcast because I'm comfortable with it. Before, I was so uptight. I used to do like so many different takes and everything. And then as you listen to other people's podcasts and as you just kind of sit there and listen, you're like, dang, it's really not that bad. It's okay to mess up. How can anyone expect somebody to go 45 minutes and not mess up? That's kind of why you have to be yourself when you're doing a podcast. And it's important to be yourself because when you're doing anything, matter of fact, if you were a keynote speaker, it's important to stay authentic. And the reason it's important to stay authentic is because when you mess up, which you undoubtedly will, you're giving a 40-minute speech, a 40-minute lecture, an hour seminar. You're bound to tongue tie a word or mess up or trip over yourself. It's guaranteed at some point to happen. So when that happens, your reaction is going to be your most authentic self. So if you're already giving people your authentic self, how you react will not matter. If you are trying to give a seminar or speech or anything of that nature, and let's just say you're a cusser, you're someone who has an issue with being able to hold their tongue depending on what it is that has to be said. If you mess up, chances of you cussing are high. So if you already cuss in your keynotes or already have profanity in your speeches and in what you're saying, it doesn't come as a shocker to your audience when you use that kind of language. So if you have a tell when you mess up, I do this thing where I like to say, hey, I tongue twisted, say, hey, and then just start the thought over. It's okay to start your thought over. You're not perfect. If you tongue twisted and said the wrong things and you're like, that, like, I don't know where I think I got it from my cousin because she used to say that. But I just like, bleh. I do a thing with my tongue. I don't know why I just do it. I just, and it's like people, when people hear it, especially how I do it, it's an understanding that, hey, I just messed up. Blah. All my words. I just messed up all my words. Blah. I've been going too fast, but blah, blah. I apologize. Acknowledge that you made a mistake. Restart your thought, and then finish. Go slow. You know. And when you're speaking, understand that everyone has their own tendencies. For me, I not only use and like a lot, but I pause because I'm trying to become more aware of what I say. So when I go, I know it's because I'm talking too fast. I have to slow down. When I'm talking too fast, my mind is moving at such a like my mind and my mouth just don't cooperate well at a high speed. So I'll be saying something, and then all of a sudden my mind is thinking so fast. I already talk fast. My mouth already moves at at a substantial rate fast. People are like, yo, you gotta slow down when you're talking. I'm like, keep up. Nah, I definitely need to learn how to slow down. Anyway, the slowing down is where I start to make less mistakes. I'm not tripping over myself as much because I'm talking so fast. But it's so wild because I talk so fast because my mind, like if you hear me speed up and talk fast, it's because my mind is moving at 1,000 miles a minute and my mouth can't keep up. Like I just have so many things that are just going through my head. It's like snap, 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 snap. And then my mouth all of a sudden is like, can't keep up. So it's important. So this is why I feel so comfortable now being able to mess up on my podcast or being tongue tied or tongue twisted, because it's the comfortability of knowing that, hey, this is the worst case possible scenario. Like think of like in most situations, the worst possible situation or scenario is death. However, it's not logical or feasible for most situations. That being said, you can rule it out. So while you hitting the lottery can be an underlying, trigger in your death, chances are it's not. Chances are you hit the lottery and you're set. You live a regular, normal rest of your life, but with money. So there's no wrong decisions in, if you will, when you're working or doing your podcast or whatever it is that you're doing. In this sense, I'm doing a podcast. There's no real right or wrong answer. People respect your opinion. That's why they're listening. It is an opinion. It's advice. It's a tip, a suggestion. It's not a life or death situation, So going and messing up is 100% fine. Honestly, I don't mind it. Like that's the worst that happens. That I tripped over myself and I had to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to trip over myself." And it's on my podcast, and 5 people hear it because only 5 people listen to my podcast. So if that's the worst that happens, then I'm pretty good. And if that's what you have to really think about what's stopping you. What is stopping you from doing what you're doing? Is it the fear of the consequences? Think about the best thing that can happen. That's really how I like to look at things. That's really what I love about business. I have the freedom to do what I want. I have the freedom to, it's a nice day outside. I'm going to work outside. You know what? It's not a nice day outside. I'm going to work inside all day. You know what? I had a very good week. I'm going to take today off. You have the freedom to do what you will, as long as you set up your business properly for it. If you are a construction worker and you have to be on the construction site, you can't leave the country at will. However, if you were a construction worker and you owned your own construction business and you didn't have to be there every single day, you could take vacations. So that's really why I like being an owner of a business or an entrepreneur. It gives me the freedom to do whatever it is that I would like to do, because I feel the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back is time. That time factor is huge. Because if you take your average adult, the average adult that is doing well, and they're making 45, 55, $65,000 a year, that's normal baseline kind of money. The reason they can't do what they would like to do is because they don't have the time. If you would like to say, hey, oh, I don't have a babysitter today, I'd like to make sure I can stay home with my kids. But because you have to go to work, you don't have the time to do that. When you're a business owner, or when you're an entrepreneur, or someone that works for yourself, you have that luxury to say, hey, I'm going to be home today. Obviously, everything has consequences, whether it's, you're a salesperson, you don't get to make any sales that day, whether it's, people start looking at you a little bit different, whether it's an important client you have to cancel on. You have the freedom, however, without the repercussion of losing your job. Not saying that there's no repercussions, but without the repercussion of losing your job, you're able to take the time that you need. And that is why I love being a business person, being an entrepreneur, because I value my time, my environment. That is another thing a lot of people don't talk about. Environment. I want to work in an environment that is suitable for me. Do I want to work, on my hands, on my feet all day? No, I do not. That rules out a lot of jobs. Things like construction, things like warehouse jobs, things like being a CNA. I could not be a CNA. Walking around, doing rounds, making sure people get their pills changed, poop picked up, and all of this other stuff. I could not be a CNA. It takes too much active moving work, and you got to answer to people and deal with people that you don't want to deal with, and then you got to deal with patients and everything. That is not for me. I'm a people person. Those are not my people that I would like to deal with. However, there are people like my mom that have no issue change. They would much rather wipe butts and do all that kind of stuff. She puts on her pair of earphones and will make her med round or whatever, and be happy. She loves doing it because she likes her patients. She likes being able to help people. She likes the entire process of it. You get to a certain point where it's I just do my work. You don't got to be friends with everybody. I come in, I do my work, and I'm out. And because I enjoy the work that I do, and I'm not here socializing with people that I don't really like or care for, or trying to, kiss butt or make it look like I'm working and not actually be working, because that's a huge thing. I don't know if you've ever been into hospitalized or ever been into a doctor's office or anything, but a lot of nothing goes on there. So if you're actually literally just working, doing your work by frame, chances are you're probably going to get done early. When you ever just have a good day when you're like, you know what, I'm going to focus on my work today and get everything done. And then by the time you're halfway through with the day, you're like, dang, I'm basically done. That's kind of what happens when you're a nurse. There's so much to do, but so little to do that it's almost now you're dragging it out. Now, during this particular time is when you're overloaded and have to focus. So shout out to all CNAs, all workers or frontline people right now during this coronavirus. However, on before, living our regular lives, there's a lot to do, but it's not an overwhelming amount kind of thing. People just kind of drag your feet. If you took a survey, which I'm gonna find the information for you guys. If there's a survey out there that lets people know how much of actual work is being done. So in an 8-hour shift, and you don't even have to look at the survey. Think about your personal self, because I always say this: if there's one, there's more. It's almost like a mouse situation. If there's one, regardless of the size or whatever gender or anything it is, there's more. So if there's a problem, if someone has a problem, an inconvenience, a situation that needs to be dealt with, someone else most likely has that problem. There may not be a lot of people, but let's just say there's a good amount of people. You have complete control over the situation. As the problem grows, control starts to slip. No. You know what? I'm just going to say this. At least 10% of the population at any given point has the exact same problem. So that means any problem that anybody has, I guarantee you at least minimum 10% of the population has. In America, there's 300 something million people here. So at least 3 million, at least 30 have the same problem, whether you're rich, poor, broke or not. At least 30 million people share problems. So do with that information what you will. I'm gonna say at least 10% of people, even if it's a good million people out of 300 million, whatever percent that is. I'm not gonna do the numbers right now. However, those people all have a similar problem. If you and all you have to do is focus on yours. Do you see how easy that is? I had a real point I was trying to make and I completely lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. Anyway, I really hate losing my train of thought because it's like I have such a great idea and then I start talking or rambling and then all of a sudden it just comes crashing down because it's like I get further and further out of a point because I'm trying to make a circle and then connect everything and then it's just at some point you're like, okay, well, what was the last thing I was trying to connect? And then it's just like, dang, I completely missed the connection. It's just like a lapse in memory. I don't know what happens. It's just I hate it, you know. But I digress. Back to my original things. I think we need to focus on sustainability. That's not what I was talking about really, but I want to switch gears. I think we should talk about sustainability and happiness as being the goal versus money. Because we originally and everything are talking about loving what you do, its process, and not being fake about it, you know? You have to not be insecure about whatever it is that your process that you're doing, you know? That's why I'm so comfortable recording. I'm comfortable in my process. You have to be comfortable in whatever it is that you're trying to do, your process. You just got to learn to be comfortable with it because that's what's going to bring sustainability and happiness. The goal, like I said, should be sustainability and happiness, not money. Because when you're focused on money, now you have a barometer of other people to compare yourself to. It can now become a competition. When you're happy, your happiness is based on you. So if collecting comics is what makes you happy, you can't compare that to $1 million making somebody happy because, hey, $1 million doesn't make me happy. So I like to collect comics. My comics are all together worth maybe $10,000. I like looking and saving up and trying to get new pieces to add to my collection. That's what makes me happy. Obviously, that's not me in real life, but that having that for self-thought, that knowledge of self, I don't even know if I said for self, whatever. Having that knowledge of yourself makes you more aware to what makes you happy and makes you more content with what you have. And when you're content with what you have, you're not insecure with what people tell you. Therefore, you can do whatever. You can do almost whatever. And it'll bring you true happiness, which is why I encourage everyone to own their own business. You don't have to own a business. Just have a side hustle. Do what, I'd say that everyone should own their own business, but I don't really mean that. I mean, everyone should do what they love to do on their terms. Because these jobs don't care about you. Like, whatever it is that you're doing, you should go do by yourself. That's what I'll say. At least as a freelancer, maybe working for somebody else, but even as a freelancer, because you're technically still working for yourself, but you're just putting yourself in an employee's position because but as a self-paid employee, and it should be, like I said, it's about your happiness. I can tell you whatever it is that you want to do, how to make money off of it. Whatever makes you happy, I can tell you how to make money off of it. You can make money literally on anything, and that's what I'll say is a bonus from living in America. You can make a living out of nowhere, out of anything. Think of it like this: if you go to New York, you can hire a service to have somebody cuddle with you. Cuddle. Not perform a sexual favor, not bring illegal, drugs or activities into your home. You can hug a person. That's what really cuddling is. An intimate hug and receive money for it. Now, me personally, I wouldn't want to hug or cuddle strangers. However, if you're the person that's like, oh, I love people, I love making people feel better, I love being, the person that people can count on, being a professional cuddler is a real job. People walk other people's dogs. And I don't know if you understand how basic that is. Like, oh yeah, it's just a dog walker. Obviously people get paid for that. No, think about that. The very first dog walker. Think about that. Somebody said, you know what? People go out and purchase animals that they are themselves responsible for and then purchase them and don't want to be responsible for them. So you know what? I'm going to create a business that caters to people that don't want to be responsible to the object that they decided to bring into their lives. Think about that. We as a society have become so lazy that we have created a service to take on our responsibilities, whatever that service may be, myself included. As a dog owner, you consciously decide to say, you know what? I want a dog. Probably think, yo, I want this kind of dog. I get this kind of house, treat it like this, X, Y, Z. And then you actually get the dog. And then it poops in your bathroom. It poops in your bedroom. Pees in the living room. Takes food it's not supposed to. Now you're getting frustrated and you're just angry. You're like, why? I don't want to have to deal. I like having this dog, but I don't want to have to deal with the responsibility of it. Like taking it out every single night because it poops on the floor. I'm tired of pooping on the floor. However, I didn't fully think about everything before I got this dog. So I'm going to hire a dog sitter. And the dog sitter is going to come at 7 o'clock every day, take the dog out to go poop, make sure it comes home, gets fed, groomed, and then go home because I'm lazy. When you break things down into the action of it versus the term, so if you say coercion, I coerced a girl into sleeping with you. No, that means you raped somebody. And when you put certain things, when people, why are you putting it like that? Because if you did something good, no matter how you put it, it's good. But when you do something and then you're like, well, why are you putting it like that? You're putting it the wrong way. No, we're putting it the right way. We're just using different terms. And if the interchangeable terms make it bad or questionable, then maybe that action was bad or questionable. Just a consideration. That's how lazy America is. We have taken responsibility and said, you know what? We're going to make a business out of handling other people's responsibilities because they are so lazy, they can't even do what they signed up for. You signed up to take care of a dog and can't even take care of the dog. What'd you get a dog for? Because you wanted it. People are putting money in your pockets every single day. You have to find a reason for someone to give you that money. Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.